It's 11 a.m. A very warm welcome to those of you who are here, and hopefully the others will join us in a minute. My name is Edmond Zahedi, and for most of you, I will be the lead analyst responsible for providing support to your academic unit over the next few months. I have been a professor in Canada and abroad for a little bit more than 25 years, so I practiced teaching before being exposed to the maze of quality control. Uh, as I said on the presentation Monday, I'm sharing all of this information with you so that you know that I am on your side, and I know that these exercises, these activities look like another burden to the academic faculty members, especially those of you who are involved in quality control. But trust me, the value is there, and we are going to benefit from the activities like SWOT, revision of program learning outcomes, and course PLO mappings that I'm going to mention in the next slide. I'm also very pleased to introduce Malak Junaid, who's a communications and special project officer at the office in which I'm working. Malak is going to assist us in these activities, and she will be playing a very important role in contacting your graduates, which I will explain in a few minutes. Malak is currently pursuing her honors bachelor degree in economics at Ottawa. So let's move on to the next slide. And as you may recall, for those of you who attended the orientation session, here's the correspondence between the activity that is the subject of this presentation, meaning the SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats analysis, and the self-evaluation report. You remember that the blue arrows, they indicate that the output of the SWOT affects that particular section. Obviously, the degree of relevance varies by section. Some are more concerned, some are less. Anyway, let's move on to today's agenda. I would like to begin by reviewing the why behind this activity, by clarifying our context at Ottawa and going over a few relevant definitions. We will be better prepared to understand the steps of the process. Next, we will look at the questionnaire itself just to get a feel of how it looks like. A sample report will also be presented so that you may know, have a feeling again of what to expect as a result of this activity. And finally, we'll go through the different steps of the process in detail to gain a solid understanding of the activities, timelines, and especially potential challenges. We'll have the opportunity to have your questions addressed at the end of the presentation. However, I would appreciate if you capture your questions, or if this is something very important that affects the comprehension of the material, feel free to take the microphone and interrupt me. Let's see first what is the problem that we're trying to solve here, and address the question, who needs a SWOT analysis? Well, in the context of academic programs, we are faced with an ever-changing environment. Disciplines and fields of expertise are constantly evolving, but also each new generation of students seems to have a different set of needs, aspirations, and expectations. So we need a better understanding of our students. It's a must, and it's not a nice to have. Finally, there is competition out there, especially with the online learning packages, some of them almost free. So how do we make that we don't lose students, especially the good ones? There are also other questions that might benefit from the insights generated through this activity. For example, I can mention, how do we ensure that such and such a program would succeed? What I'm trying to hint to is that this tool and the set of tools and the activity that we are going to see can also be deployed towards gauging the interest in new programs. What would be the most effective way to promote these to students, and how to ensure that the curricula would adequately prepare students for today's workforce demand? Lots of questions. But do we know how well is doing our academic program or the programs? For example, what is working really well? Are there any programs or initiatives that have been particularly successful? What feedback have we received from students about their experience? Then next, what could be improved by us? Are there recurring problems or challenges identified by students or other stakeholders? What innovative solutions, or best practices could we adopt? Finally, the risks. Which aspects, if left unaddressed, could irreversibly harm the program's sustainability? Reflecting on these questions can help us identify areas for growth and develop strategies to enhance the effectiveness of our programs. Clearly, we need to identify what makes us stand among other institutes of higher learning and what needs to be improved. But we need an evidence-based approach to ensure that we are in sync with our stakeholders. SWOT analysis is very helpful here. It's a strategic planning tool used to identify and understand internal strengths and weaknesses, and to try to identify where can we go and what to do in order to avoid these threats from outside. As you may know, this technique is not limited to academic program evaluation, and in fact is rooted to study company organization and businesses. A small note here that I will repeat perhaps a couple of times in this presentation. The SWOT approach is radically different from satisfaction surveys. More on that later. Let us have a look. I mentioned a few times stakeholders. Who are the main stakeholders? For the sake of simplicity, we have divided our stakeholder categories into four: students, alumni, faculty members, administrative staff. When you see a star here, this means that these categories are mandated by the OCAV. The OCAV is the Ontario Council of Academic Vice Provost. That is the body that is requiring this activity. Each category has a different set of expectations, and this natural separation helps us a better understanding of the needs and wants. Now, on top of that, there is a possibility, we have the possibility of adding for you, should you require it, other categories such as employers and professional associations. If you need these new categories, or in some cases, academic units require supervisors, especially in health-related disciplines, well, talk to us. We will be happy to add a separate category. In a nutshell, let's come back to the definition. A SWOT analysis is a step-by-step process to identify reliable indicators of the factors that influence program performance. And all of that is always done from the perspective of our stakeholders. What does reliable mean? Well, this means it's not hallway anecdotes, but evidence-based information that we have been together. So we need to gather also the solutions proposed by stakeholders to address the challenges identified. And this is really helpful because we are drawing on collective intelligence. We're dealing with smart people at the university. We have faculty members, we have students, graduate students, and we have also support staff that are linked with all of that. So we have a bunch of information here that could be treated to extract insights, and this is the third item on this list: extract insights able to inform strategies to strengthen the program. But I just mentioned factors. Let's now take a closer look at what we mean by that. Well, in a SWOT analysis, we look at all aspects that can possibly affect the program. Clearly, teaching methods and contents come first, but there's more to it. Let's say lab equipment, physical space, classroom environment, online learning tool and policies, self-study, community life, you name it. So this is why we need to use open-ended questions. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to collect a wide spectrum of opinions. Imagine that we would like to do such a survey on and touching all these aspects using satisfaction surveys. We would end up with hundreds and hundreds of questions. The beauty of open-ended questions is that you give the opportunity to stakeholders to express themselves where they really want to. But the most interesting part is the strength of the solutions, because we ask for solutions. Basically, here's a very high overview of the questionnaire. Tell us about the strength, tell us about the weaknesses, tell us what should we do in order to address these uh, uh, problems. This is a gold mine, a real gold mine. Anonymous survey, highly capable respondents, strong sense of belonging. Another major difference with traditional satisfaction surveys, which have their place uh, well defined. What can this analysis be used for? Well, it may serve as a basis for the academic unit to start discussion and develop its strategies. This work should be done with a clear mind once the SWOT analysis report has been submitted. So my role from my side with our role at the Office of Program Evaluation is to act like a mirror, as reliable as we possibly can, and tell you what your stakeholders are telling you. And the rest is up to you. Now, a major challenge is usually a low response rate, because we are using all of that as evidence, right? And the problem is that data may not be sufficiently representative. In our context, a very good response rate would be around 20%, not that high. This is why we need to do everything we can to increase engagement. Stakeholders may lack interest in online SWOTs questionnaires for several reasons. First, they don't perceive the relevance. They say, what's in it for me? Uh, if they don't see how their input can influence outcomes, they may disengage, thinking the exercise isn't worthwhile. Second aspect is questionnaire fatigue. If stakeholders are frequently asked to complete surveys or questionnaires, especially if previous feedback seems to have had little impact, they might experience fatigue and lose interest in participating. Think about how many questionnaires you receive during the week and you just delete them. Another factor is poor design, technical barriers or usability issues. Fortunately, in terms of technical barriers, usability issues, our tool is we use SurveyMonkey. It's well designed. But we are talking about the poor design or confusing questions that can also lower engagement rates. Poor communication, the lack of promotion is one of the major factors. If stakeholders do not understand the importance of this exercise for themselves, and especially for the academic unit, they may just think that this is another formality. Last but not least, poor timing, which means that many stakeholders are busy with other priorities, let's say exams, marking exams, holidays, and you name it. So the timing also should be considered when sending these questionnaires out. Just a sample to show you what happens if you have about, in this case, 1,000 emails that were sent to alumni for a specific program. You see that some were open, some were not open. On those emails that were open, some were clicked, some were not clicked. And at the end of the day, we have only 159 submitted questionnaires with some responses, which means a participation rate of 15%. I told you 20% is already good in this case. So again, the importance of the promotion of the event is extremely high. Now, I would like to very quickly show you how it looks like, how the questionnaire looks like in action. And we are going to talk about two categories of questions. one or two groups of questions. I prefer to keep categories for the stakeholders. One is the socio-demographic questions, and the other one are open-ended questions. So socio-demographic questions are concerning the students and alumni. So this is about, there are a series of questions that are in the template that will be shared with you. Now, the key here is really to keep only those questions that you feel, if there is information replied, there's value to that. So please try to reduce the number of socio-demographic questions. We're going to share with you a list of, let's say, 30 socio-demographic questions, and we hope that you are telling us, do not include, delete this, delete this, delete this, delete this. In some cases, you may need to ask specific questions, sorry, that is meaningful for your program in your context. So we are able to do that. But we would like to reduce as much as possible the socio-demographic questions. So we don't ask questions if the response is not relevant to us. And there are the open-ended questions. So the open-ended questions concern all four categories, namely students, prof, support staff, and alumni. These are standard questions. We tend to keep them as is. So please resist the urge of willing to change them, unless, again, that's a very special case and we need to talk. It's not automatic. All right. So I'm going to put in the chat area so that you have access to the questionnaire in case you would like to open it at the same time that I show you. So if you open the link that I sent you, this is a demonstration version. The first page is a page that will be deleted. This is an information page for you used to configure the questionnaire. And then there is some legal information, getting consent. And after this is general information about what to do, what's the purpose, who is going to see this data, that's anonymous, blah, blah, blah. And we get here to stakeholder category identification. As a standard series of categories, we have these four categories. So if you click on the student, let's say, you come up with socio-demographic questions. And as you can see, please indicate your current program of study. That's a must. Obviously, you would like to know whether you have the right. So it depends on how many different programs are there in your program. If you have one, you choose one. Please indicate your preferred language spoken at home. Is this relevant to you? Well, for some academic units, they say, yes, we really need to know what language they use at home. But if it is not relevant for you, your case, please tell us, delete this question. The same for the other questions. You see, there's a bunch of questions, and you don't have to include all of them. I'm not going to review all of them, just going to switch to faculty members who do not have to answer socio-demographic questions. Then you see that there is a list of programs. So we have multiple programs here. The question is, what do you consider the key strength of these programs? So now we have two boxes. One box says general feedback. This means that this applies to all programs, or program-specific feedback, because we have listed a bunch of programs. So please mention the program name for which you are giving the feedback. Then the question goes to, so the first question was the strength, open-ended question. The second question goes to the weakness. How can the department further enhance these strengths? And what challenges or areas that need improvement do you see in these programs? Again, we are digging a bit more. And finally, what steps should the department take to address these challenges you have identified in the previous question? So very short questions, but very broad range of information is targeted here. So let's go back to the presentation. So we are going to see the timeline and who is going to do what and when, but what is the deliverable? Now, let me show you the output format of the report that is expected. But before doing that, I just want to clarify one thing. We have changed the way we work with you. Before that, there was no report. So you were given the raw data. Now we are giving you the report. And there is a small price to pay for that. More on that when I get to the timeline. So in order to read the layout for the report, I have compressed the report into a PDF with 4 slides just to make sure that I can browse through all the slides rapidly. And this is how they are going to show up on the screen in a moment. But this is a PowerPoint presentation that will be the output of the report. And a notice is that we heavily use AI tools, namely Copilot and ChatGPT, to produce reports because there is no way within the resources that are available to us we can do without AI. We, we have started doing this since last year and with very positive results. But all AI suggested material are reviewed by myself and the person resource that is doing this task. More on that, more on this soon, and verified against raw data. So I just show you a sample report. Oh, before the sample report, I just wanted to show you the raw data. This is the raw data that I was talking about. So if we don't do the report, and this is what we have been, what was done about 5 years ago before I took position in this as a lead analyst, this is what information was given to the academic unit. So you had all the information here. Now it's 0, but anyway, you should have lots of data here, lines and lines of information in an Excel file or PDF format for you to dig into and see what's going on. In this case, it's sparse, but usually there's lots of information, especially if you are a big academic unit. So here we see the key demographic data, methodology, key demographic data. So who has replied, how many people were there, what were the discipline, what the programs were, etc. And then an important section is the thematic regrouping. So what we mean here, we create clusters of strength, weaknesses. Let's say a cluster is related to curriculum and content. So there were 11 citations in the Excel file that talk about curriculum and content. 8 of them concern study skills, 3 of them concern communication, and so on and so forth. So you see the idea is to rank them by the number of citations as a proxy for importance from the perspective of your stakeholders. In this case, the academic unit wanted the thematic regrouping to be done separately for students and alumni, for PhD students, and for professors, I guess. After this, the insights. So we said the beauty of this activity is that you end up with insights. So what are the solutions that the respondents have to offer to identify the challenges? Where we offer an executive summary and we classify the challenges. So challenge number 1, as seen by the stakeholders, was regarding orientation and expectations clarity. Times 6 means that there were 6 citations altogether in this group of participants. We limit ourselves to 4, 5, maximum 6 challenges at the end of the day. So here we have 5th challenge, community and networking across labs, and that's it. This was a small program, but we are able to get, and all of that is based on verbatim, stakeholder voices. So we avoid hallucinations of the AI tool, by asking it to produce for us verbatim citations that relate to the classification. I'm going to talk a bit more on that soon. So let's go back to our presentation. Here we go. The process. That's the critical part of it. Now, I'm going to present to you a process that consists of 15 steps, 1 to 15, and anything below the bar is the task that myself and my assistant Malak Junaid are going to support you with. Anything above this bar is related to you. This will be your task. So let's carry on. The time is not to scale. So what happens is that after this presentation, either today or sometimes next week, you're going to receive an email from Malak, which will ask you for configuration information. And what you are going to do is to look at the target academic programs and check whether everything is okay, do some verifications, and validate the questionnaire. So all of this is going to be explained to you. Once this is done, I'm going very rapidly, but we are going to have multiple opportunities to come back to this timeline. We are going to ask for the list of your alumni. We are going to liaise with the university to get the list of your alumni. You're going to tell us how many years you would like to go back. And we are going to share with you the draft of the invitation letter. You validate it. We send the email invitation to alumni. You send to non-alumni. Non-alumni means students, professors, and administrative staff. From phase 1 to phase 6, we're targeting sometimes early June. So from now, March to June, maximum early June, we would like to finish off with these 6 steps by supporting your academic unit so that in September, when students are back, professors are back, mid-September, say late September, we send out this is what we propose. Now, you may have some other ideas in mind. You may say, I would like to send it earlier, or I would like to send it later. It's up to you. We work with you. So we launch, and once these are launched, let me take my laser pointer here. Wow, here we go. It's much easier. Once the stakeholders are kind of working on that, I am going to train the assistant that you would have identified. So AU is academic unit, and trained this person on how to use the AI tools with these 3 steps that I mentioned in order to produce this report. Again, that's an option, which means we could offer you the raw data. There will be no report. So everything depends. If you have, let's say, up to 10 responses, that works fine. That's not too much of a hassle. But if you have like 50 responses or 100 responses, that's extremely difficult to dive inside the Excel. So we would recommend to get some help here. And we don't have the bandwidth to do the report on our own. So what we are proposing is to train the assistant for you. That will be my job. And then this assistant will work together with me in here to do the consolidation and prepare the report. So once you are satisfied with the number of responses, you say, I was expecting, let's say 100, I have 80 responses. I'm fine with that. Let's go to the next step. I close the questionnaire, and then we go to the processing of the information to produce the report. Once the report is sent to you, we may have, I usually offer to have a session with the academic unit to offer insights. How do you compare with others? Is there something that is too much off with respect to the usual cases? What is my view of that? Again, as a totally neutral person that looks at stuff from purely pedagogical point of view. And it's up to you to develop strategies and especially classify those feedback as, well, this feedback is good. We're going to take care of that. We're going to do something about that. This feedback is due to misperception or misperception, sorry, or miscommunication. There's nothing we can do about it. It's not under our control. So it's up to you to decide what to do with the feedback. So the report has a descriptive kind of objective here, and it does not prescribe anything. And the report is not public domain. It's a privately owned by the academic unit. So once this is done, well, an important phase that I will not sufficiently emphasize is to celebrate and communicate the outcomes to stakeholders. And why is that so? Well, we have discovered during the past few years that a major source of low response rate is that there is no feedback to stakeholders. What they ask us is that, what have you done with my previous feedback? I told you about all of these problems before, and nobody told me whether they even read this. Did they take any steps to rectify the situation? What can be done, etc. So this is a human thing. Value your stakeholders in this step by letting them know who was surveyed, how this was done, what was learned, what are you as an institution going to do about it? This could be in a classroom session or live session, even receiving the invitation. Stakeholders, imagine you are one of the people who have taken part in the survey. You receive an email a couple of months after or 3 months after the survey, and you are told, thank you, Professor XYZ, for your participation. We are going to explain to you what we heard here and what we can do and what we cannot do about the feedback in general. So this is a kind of compendium of the general. This has a very, very positive effect on the outcome and engagement. You might object and you may say that, oh, but we will see the effect later on. Yes, this is continuous improvement. So what is the take-home message? First, the SWOT analysis is used to identify clues and develop strategies. It's one of the tools, actually, that can be used to identify clues and develop strategies. That's not the only one. You may have other ways of doing that. We are completely fine with that. It is evidence-based, and it's best if done periodically. I do this with the Faculty of Health Sciences, the nutrition program, and they do, because they have an mandate, accreditation mandate to do this every year for the exiting, and it has to be a SWOT. It cannot be a satisfaction survey. And I really applaud them for doing this activity. It's not a satisfaction survey. I said it a few times. Satisfaction surveys have their own place at the end once they receive. But if you want more proof and more evidence on that, I can show you some sample and show you what does make sense in a satisfaction survey sphere and what does make sense in a SWOT analysis sphere. This process is a step-by-step process. We have a calibrated process. We have standard open-ended questions that we have worked with this for a few years now. The promotion of the event, the communicating to the stakeholders that this is critical. This is important for the academic unit. This is important for detecting exactly how you perceive the program, your program of study. And perception is very much different when you talk undergraduate from graduate and especially PhD students, the perception is everything. So the promotion is very important in order to get good response rate and good feedback. The thematic organization of responses is in a well-crafted report. This is what you are going to receive, but you will need to appoint that academic unit assistant. This is usually in the form of a work-study program student with a 60 hours of contract. So that is how we see things in order to minimize the expenses and the cost. Insights from data analysis is offered to you based on feedback to stakeholders. Based on feedback from stakeholders, and feedback to stakeholders has to be given to encourage them for the next events and increase the reputation of the academic unit. Who are the stakeholders? The stakeholders are anyone directly or indirectly affected by or involved in the programs. So this is why we propose students, faculty members, alumni, and administrative staff. But if you have other categories of stakeholders, please talk to us. We'll be happy to accommodate. The idea is to integrate different perspectives and see the things from various angles. What are the success criteria? Well, the success criteria is that first, we need a frank expression, an honest expression of opinions. We need a high participation rate. This is why the communication of the event, the promotion of the event is so critical. And we need a neutral but thoughtful analysis. Here, our role at the Office of Program Evaluation is to make sure that we don't have any agenda. We are not connected to your academic unit. So we try our best to act like a pure mirror and reflect to the best of our ability what your stakeholders have told us or are telling you. Now, this being said, there is a process of interpretation. We use AI tools. We double check. We check few times. And actually, I give a hard time to those who have been engaged last time, and asking them questions. How do you make sure? What does this mean? How to make sure that this is related to the ground truth? And we go back to the raw data. But on top of that, you have access to your raw data. So in case you have some kind of doubt about, oh, is this 100% correct or this is 60% correct, let's go back and verify the raw data. You have access to the raw data. You can do that. And that's the beauty of the thing. At the end of the day, there are insights that have been generated. So you get from your stakeholders, and we categorize these insights by the number of respondents. Okay, in a group of 100, you have 30 that are saying stuff about curriculum, 20 are saying about teaching methods, 10 are talking about financing, etc. And the sphere or the focus, the concentration of the complaints or the praise actually shifts if you are in undergraduate and graduate programs. These insights, at the end of the day, their role is to inform the action plan for the program improvement. And these insights are the basis for internal discussion. Again, these insights are by no means, I had a very not happy reaction from one of academic units that did not pay attention to this and thought that the results that are in this report are going to be communicated to the OCAV, and we are going to say, no. This is a basis for internal discussion. You as the academic unit, you should, and you are empowered to interpret what your stakeholders are telling you. Again, the stakeholders have their own perspective, but you have a good understanding, good knowledge of what's going on within your academic unit, especially what resources are available, what can be done, what cannot be done. Next steps. Well, you're going to receive an email from Malak with full instructions, with links in French and English to the preloaded test version. So we have been doing our homework for the past couple of months by capturing all the information that we could in order to ease your job, to make it easier for you. So all you need to do is to go click on these surveys links. These are the test version, and confirm to us or edit the listed programs. So tell us whether the programs that are listed are correct or not. Select the socio-demographic questions. Please, please, please select as few as possible. And you may elect to modify some of these socio-demographic questions. This may apply to your field, or you may, we prefer not, but we are open to this discussion as well, to add a socio-demographic questions that is not already in the list. In the email, Malak will also ask you how many years you would like to go back for the alumni, knowing that we can go back maximum 8 years. And please think about the plan to engage a resource person. Usually and typically, this is a work-study program. Now, in the previous cycle, I had also faculty members that were assigned this role of doing the analysis of the data, which is completely fine. This person should become operational in October 2026. So we are giving you enough advance notice. Unfortunately, we do not have any budget to support this work-study program. But if this is some undergraduate student, should hover around 1 to 2K for the whole exercise. So that's not a huge amount of money, I would say, and it's worth it. Before that, no report was given to the academic unit, only the raw data, which is still a possibility. But I strongly suggest that you get a work-study program student doing this job for you. Special case. You may be in a special case, and please talk to us, where you have lots of different programs from different schools. This happened with Telfer, School of Management, when faculty and support staff may receive questionnaires multiple times. And in order to avoid that, we decided with them that why don't we create a one common questionnaire covering all programs for those two categories. So different schools have different programs, and a professor may be teaching in different programs. Just talk to us. So on top of that, you have also some explanation on the website. So let me share this with you, where you can go and you can find more information about the whole program. I don't know if I opened this link. I think so. Give me 1 second. Yes, this is the page. Well, if you click on the last link, that's what you see, the 3-step process and some explanations. I invite you to review this. Actually, it's more comprehensive than the SWOT. It has SWOT, program learning outcomes, and curriculum analysis, which has been reduced to course PLO mapping for the time being. Okay, so with this, I end my presentation, and we have a few minutes left. I see that we have a question from Elizabeth Marshman. It has been a while since I hired a work-study student, but I imagine I will need to specify required skills. And do you have? Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Elizabeth, for pointing out. I forgot to mention, we have a nice job description that we will be happy to share with you, to kind of indicate what are the expectations, what is the workload, etc. So all of that is nicely in a package, and we will share it with you. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? Please feel free to take the microphone. And if you have any questions regarding any aspect of that, yes, please, Pascal, go ahead.
Hi, thanks for this presentation.
Sure.
We have to review both the graduate and the undergraduate programs at the same time, and we
Right.
might even do a joint review with Carleton for the graduate program.
Right.
So I see this very like efficient if you were dealing with a single program. But what happens if we have to like involve Carleton, for example, in this exercise? Is there a separate SWOT for Carleton, for example, or do we fold them into this one by like including more stakeholders? How would it work?
Thank you for the question, Pascal. Yes, we have a specific version of the questionnaire in which I didn't show it here because this is a special case in which one of the questions, early questions, is that are you a Carleton student or are you a U Ottawa student? And based on this, they are directed to different programs and different set of questions. So it's the same questionnaire. To simplify, we send them the same questionnaire, but with a possibility of selecting different institution, their affiliation, plus, and even professors who opt to participate in the questionnaire, they can specify the affiliation, and then they are shown the socio-demographic questions and so on. So that is what we propose to do with joint programs. Does it answer your question, Pascal?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Welcome. Thank you for the question. Yes, Michelle, please go ahead.
My question is actually coming back to the previous one. My understanding is that this periodic evaluation is the undergraduate equivalent of the cyclical review for the graduate program. Is that right or not?
We are doing cyclical program review, Michelle. All of that is in the framework of cyclical program review.
Okay, because in our department, for example, they're actually done by different vice chairs of the department. So the undergraduate program vice chair actually takes care of the periodic review for the undergraduate program, while the graduate coordinator, the equivalent of vice chair for graduate studies, they actually take care of the cyclical review for the graduate program. So, and to my understanding is until now, they have been almost separate processes because at the undergraduate level is only the University of Ottawa, but at the graduate level, we have a joint institute with Carleton.
Then we can go. Let's discuss this. In separate. What we can do? We can do one questionnaire, or we can do two questionnaires also. So the second possibility is to split the questionnaires. If you feel that, well, there are too many things to be. In the previous case, when Pascal Audet was mentioning, they have a set of programs that are jointly, this is what I understood, that are jointly offered with Carleton. But they are in charge of everything. Now, if you say that we have to split between undergraduate and graduate, maybe we can, it's better, more efficient to do this separately. Let's discuss this in a meeting later on. Okay, Michelle?
Michelle, I'm also I'm the coordinator of program evaluation. Leslie and Leslie's the director, will be meeting with you next week to talk about your specific case, a little bit like geology. You are doing, or there's a possibility that you will be doing a joint review with Carleton, but we're going to talk about that next week to see if that's advantageous for you or if it would be better to do the processes separately. And in your case, we're just focusing on graduate programs. The undergraduate programs are going to be evaluated separately, and I don't think that they're involved with you and what you're doing at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
You have saved the day, Danny. Thank you. Marie-Ève, please.
Yeah, hi. So I did have get an email from Danielle already regarding our program. So it's a nursing program. We are the dissolution with the Algonquin program. So starting this September, it's going to be a program that's slightly different, so a modified program without Algonquin. So doing the SWOT analysis, do we still involve them, even though going forward, their students will not be part of our program?
That's a difficult question. Actually, your alumni will be both, I mean, they would have followed the joint program, I guess. And your current students, do you have current students that are only U Ottawa, or the current students are still in this old regime with the both institutions?
So it's basically different campuses. So we have Ottawa U, and then we also have Woodruff, Algonquin Woodruff, and Algonquin Pembroke. So there are students of different campuses, and they have different classes. They're not all together. I'm just wondering how, sorry, to go forward with a SWOT, knowing that the opinion or the feedback that we get from the student
Will differ. Yes.
won't be affecting the program that's going forward, that will not have any classes on the Algonquin campuses.
So Marie-Ève, one suggestion would be to ask, and we have done this before, put a question early in the identification of the categories that I have not shown to you, to ask respondents to identify, for example, students, identify on which campus they are a student of which campus. And this will allow you to separate. So what we can do, we can filter the answers depending on some criteria that you would have given us. Let's say you tell us, I want the responses of all the students at U Ottawa separate from another campus, campus number 2, campus number 3. So you will have 3 sets of response files. Okay, that is one way. Another way is to build a separate questionnaire for each category of respondent. Again, I would suggest that why don't we meet? Are you working with Chantal Bachmann on this?
Yes. We'll be working together on
perfect.
this. Yeah.
Perfect. So I think the best way would be to meet up, and so that I can walk through the details. There are pros and cons for each approach, and you can tell us which one is the most convenient for you. Does this work for you, Marie-Ève?
I'm just thinking, like, if we are doing either the build a separate questionnaire or where they can identify themselves, the students are replying for Algonquin, like, what's the purpose of having their answers?
Well, this is a shared curriculum, right?
It currently is, yes. But that program is ending. So
Yes.
we won't be able to apply what we learned from this questionnaire from those students.
I was expecting being able to learn something from the responses. But if you say there is no value to that, well, this defeats the purpose of making a survey. And this can be explained. Danny, do you have some thoughts on that?
No specific thoughts. I think that if really these students are not going to be involved at all, I think the question is, could they comment on other elements of the program that are still kind of related and are going to be involved in the new program? And would that feedback be interesting and valuable? But if it's really specifically related to this Algonquin experience, then maybe it's not as useful to get their feedback, since that program won't exist anymore.
Okay. No, I think you're right. Like, I mean, like, getting any feedback would be fantastic on the program. I'm just thinking, because they study on a different campus, if there are things related to the campus itself. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? So with this, I thank you so much for your kind attention. And you will have a copy of this presentation that will be soon available on Teams, where you can refer to. Please do expect within the next few days or early next week an email from Malak Junaid, who is going to share with you a link to the test version. this is based on the information that we had. So your program, if it is a new program that has been recently added, you may not. So please feel free to contact me if you have not received any email from Malak by end of next week. And we will move from there. And for special cases like Michelle or Marie-Ève, Chantal, or Pascal, if you have some specific request or we can always meet to find out the best solution that would satisfy your needs. All right. I thank you, everyone, and have a nice weekend. Bye.